everybody, this is Go Geronimo, and today we're going to continue on with the red oak bow build along. This is going to be number 8, and we're going to be talking about shaping the tips and finishing the rest of the bow, hopefully, all on this video. I'll get you closer up and we'll show you how to do those tips, or the way I do my tips. You can do it as simple as putting a couple of notches in your bow, slanted, of course, and calling it a done deal. On this bow, which is actually the first bow I ever made, I didn't even put tip overlays. I just put 2 notches, one on each side at a slant, and that was it. So that'll work if that's what you want to do. But since this is how I make my red oak bow, let me show you how I do it. Because we're actually going to be making this whole tip smaller. We're going to shrink it in, okay? The first move I do is I kind of start rounding this tip right here. Okay. Now I'm going to start working on the side like this. I'm not going to go past the notch. I'm just going to start working to make that area just basically smaller. Alright, so the profile is getting thinner on the top and thicker at the base. Alright. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove some of this here. I'm also going to take off this corners, round these corners off, and round this tip off. Now we can go ahead and round this one out, and I like to slope it, kind of make a slope right here. Circular side of this 4-way with the rasp really helps right here. I might get it started actually with the flat portion, but once you start sloping it really deep in there, the round one helps a whole lot. Shape's pretty much almost there. Just need to use some nice light filing, and I also want to make sure I create a good ledge for the string. We don't want this string slipping, so I use this one where you can use like the side of it and just make a nice good ledge there. Alright, now this is what it should look like if you're doing it the way I did. Alright, and so here's a string. When there's pressure on that sucker, it's not going to come out anymore. Okay, so after you have done both of the tips, shaped them out, we're going to finish the rest of the bow. Now, you can go, remember this is 60 grain when I worked it out with the sandpaper and block, the high-tech tool, right? So you can go to 60 to 100 to 220 to 320, but what I've found after doing this for a while You know, because anytime you take wood off of this bow from this point on, you're going to reduce the weight of the bow. So what I do is skip 100, I go straight to 220, and I usually typically don't go any further. And I'll just work it down and make it look good. You don't need the block anymore for this. You can just use your hand and just work it out, and making sure not to go too far. And we'll do it throughout the whole handle. Now, I think the handle actually has been filed only to this point, so I'm going to actually need that 60 grain sandpaper for that portion. So I'm going to go get that. Now that I smoothed out all of the bow with all the way down to 220, I'm going to take this dust off using a rag and some denatured alcohol here. Ooh. You can also, I've used like paper towel, wet paper towel. Then you have to let it fully dry. This stuff dries a whole lot better. A favorite of mine here is Deft. I usually use satin. It's a clear wood finish. I also use some Minwax from time to time. But really, any polyurethane pretty much work. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and spray that first coat down. I'm going to shake this sucker up pretty good. So I usually do about 2 coats. You can do as many as you want, but I'll do 2 and not usually more than 3. Just go ahead and spray it down. Alright, so after the first coat, I noticed there was some like wood fibers sticking out. So I took a 220 after make sure you let it dry 24 hours before you try to sand it again, because all you're going to do is smear around the coat that's not fully dry yet. So make sure you've waited enough time before you sandpaper. I took 220 and I went over it again, and then I've actually put another coat on, so it's already got 2 coats. And then I will put this 3rd coat on here. Looks good so far. So we're going to go ahead and let this dry. I'm probably going to only do those 3 coats. I usually stop at 3. And then I might, after I mark the length, the strength, and all of that technical stuff on it, I might put a little coat over that so it'll stay. So I'm going to let that dry. And we're going to put some blue tape around it, all on the wood side, and leave the fiberglass exposed. And we're going to paint that too. And really, we're going to stop there on this video. You're going to basically have a fully working, fully finished bow and ready to shoot. You can actually use the tillering string that you used, put it in a timber hitch, and already be ready to go. Even though we're going to have a video on the Flemish string as well. But we'll get back here after this dry, and I'll put put some paint on it. Alright everybody, so when you finish putting the 3 coats, or how many ever coats you want to on this bow, on the belly side of course, and all the exposed wood, then we're going to be, well, I'm going to be painting this fiberglass. Eventually it's going to be a full camo, but I'm actually going to be stopping this video on just one layer of this. And then I'll do another video on how to make a camo design on your bow. So what we need to do is put some blue tape, some painter's tape around the very edges. I mean, it's self-explanatory. Anywhere where you don't want paint, you're going to put this blue tape on. Alright, I got the blue tape all where I don't want the paint to go through. If you hear any noise, it's because I got roofers fixing my house. The rain has not been friendly this year. So, I got this sucker hooking up pretty good. We're going to just go and pass over it. And I'm going to do it by layers. So now I'm just going to go over it once, let it dry, go over it again, let it dry until I get a really nice finish here. And I'm using the camouflage non-reflective finish. Alright, now for the second coat. Now I got a little bit of paint on this lower area. That's going to be fine. I'm just going to sandpaper it and reapply some of that Deft. I forget what it's called. Polyurethane. So, second coat here. Alright guys, third coat, and that's going to be it. It's looking pretty good right now. Alright, that should be all she wrote. Then after this dries, we're going to pull off that blue paint and then fix any, screw-ups. Then we'll finish off 3 coats of paint and 3 coats of polyurethane. We'll go ahead and unveil the paint job here. There is something I want to show you on this bow. If you look carefully, let's see if we can get it to focus in. And maybe get it to angle just a little bit. And here they are. These little, what look to be cracks. Now remember, the belly of the bow is compressing wood. And we put that polyurethane on there, and that is what you're seeing, is the polyurethane bunching together. They're not actual cracks. I'll show you, I'll draw this back. If these were actual cracks, it would definitely break. So when you see that, don't freak out. Remember, red oak is a decent wood, but it's not the best wood for compression. Okay. Alright, so this bow is now ready to be pulled. It's ready to be shot. But we're going to go ahead and exercise out the limbs just to be safe, okay? Kind of just start working those limbs like this. And then get further back until you're at your full draw. Remember not to let go of the string. Whew, tired already. Alright, so we got this thing ready to shoot. And at this point, you want to serve the string so that it accepts the arrow. And we're going to be doing a video on how to do Flemish bowstring with both sides looped, not just the timber hitch. We're going to be doing extra videos. We're going to use leather to put as arrow rest material. What else are we going to do? Maybe do a handle on this. So there's a little bit of extra stuff that's not necessary, but is nice to do. So we're also going to be putting some rabbit skin string silencers. So look for those videos as well. But I thank you for watching all of my videos. Hopefully I helped you make an awesome bow just like this. Please click like, subscribe, share my videos with others, and add me to your favorites. Go ahead and find me on GoGeronimo.com. You can check the top right for my YouTube video channels. That's the easiest way to find me. Thanks. Bye-bye.